Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel.
Now, before I build shocks, I think I'm going to just move forward with the remaining parts of the build, because I can screw the shocks on at any point, and I'm going to want to go into the shocks a little bit more in depth. So I think what I'm going to do here is go ahead, move on to Chapter 7, front and rear bumper assemblies. They just call it front and rear assembly. That gives us our body posts. That's also helpful because I'm going to be hanging the body here shortly, and my goal is to get this on the track this weekend. That's my goal. So I'll do the shocks in a little bit. Let's go ahead and start putting this together. This is just our blow up drawing like they have at the front of every section. Kind of gives us an overview of what we're doing. So I'm going to move on to that. And this is, of course, bag 7 for section 7. So our front bumper, and let's see, we've got these, which are for the rear, and then we have this set. And the difference between these and these is that, as you can see, this one, the hole is in the center. These, it's off center. That allows you to mount the body post forward or rearward. So this pair gives us the center mount, and they recommend that as the initial setting. And then we have the ability to go forward or rearward. So let me just read to you what the difference is. Okay, this new innovative and unique feature allows adjustment of the body position for all kinds of surfaces, traction conditions, touring classes, using only one body. There are 3 different body positions: rearward, center, and forward. Depending on the conditions, the body post positions can be easily changed, which allows the body to be removed, or to be moved. The body in the rearward position makes the car super stable and very easy to drive. It makes the car easier to drive in chicanes and more predictable in high traction conditions. The body in the center position makes the car more aggressive and steer faster, but is a bit more difficult to drive in low grip conditions. Now, I'm going to be driving in low grip conditions. The body in the forward position is the most aggressive. It makes the car steer a lot, but it is more difficult when the traction is high or when the track has a lot of chicanes. I am going to not do the center initial setting. I am going to go with the rearward position that makes the car super stable and very easy to drive. I think that is going to be most important as far as getting used to this car and learning the car. So I'm going to set those aside. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put those in the box for future reference. And I'm going to go ahead and trim these off. And so rearward means pointing that to the rear. And then we need 3x10s for these two. We need a 3x8 in the center and 2 3x10s for the outer. So these are our 2 outers. And I don't mean outermost, I mean outer of the 2 3 ones here. And then we need those are probably our wheel nuts right there. And here is the hex that we need for right there. That just presses in. So it's going to be interesting to see what can mount on top. Oh, that's going to be for the top of the bumper. Okay, we need that. So 1, 2, 3, 4 3x10s, 1 3x8. Wait a minute. Those are going to be flatheads. Okay, I've got 1 3x8, and then I've got 3x12s. I do not have 3x10s in titanium. And I do not think, yeah, that's going to be too much. Okay, so I'll just use the stock hardware for the other 4, and that is actually going to be just fine because this is weight in the front, ahead of the front tires, so that'll help keep the front end planted, and it is low center of gravity weight, so again, not a negative. And these are actually very light pieces of hardware. They don't feel as heavy as most steel hardware does.
Do you find these videos to be helpful, useful to you? Then please help me keep this channel going by donating. Click the link up here and you can donate safely through PayPal on either a one-time or a monthly basis, your choice.
Wait a second. Let me measure these because this looks too long. See, these all look the same size. So maybe I've got 3x10s in titanium. And I've just got them in the wrong compartment. Okay, so where's the 3x8? I doubt that's it. Yeah, it could be. Let's hold it up to the legend. Yeah, that fits. And these are good to go. So titanium all the way, except for the one hole. So let's see, I'm going to start by attaching these 2 posts. It's not a huge shift. It looks like maybe 3 or 4 millimeters tops, moving rearward or moving forward from the center position. But if it makes as big a difference as they say, I'd rather go that way. And there is one more plastic piece. There we go. That's going to go on right there. And that does not attach anywhere here. It is designed to just bump up against these bulkheads in the event of front end impact. Prevents that plastic piece from being hyperextended and breaking off. So now we need a pair of M3x12s button heads, which I have in titanium. That is a 14. Just compress the foam a little bit so that everything mates up. And then tighten these down, but don't over tighten. Remember, this is soft plastic up here at the front. So there is our front bumper, all assembled. Nice and easy. I'm not going to worry about the body stops right now. That's something that will get done down the road when I do body fitment. And I will show you how all that works. Another thing I'll show you is this tool. This is for getting the right height and cutting nice smooth arches into your body for your wheels. Okay, now we have our rear body post, and we have again 3 positions: forward, center, rearward. It's important to use the same body setting both at front and rear. So for the rear, I'm going to need 2 of those little spacers, and that's these little carbon fiber suckers right here. So I'll need all 4 of those since I've set up for rearward position. And let's see, for those I'm going to need, what size screws? 12s. I'm guessing with both of those in there, both spacers, I might actually need 14s. Let's see what I've got here. So I'm going to be going through 2 of these and the shock tower itself, which is like your 3rd one. So that should leave me enough to go almost all the way through. I'd rather go all the way through. So let's see about, okay, that's 1 millimeter longer. Let me see if I've got 16s. Well, I might as well get this started. Okay, that's done. So now it is time for the servo mount. Not sure what those are for. Sure we'll come across them. So Okay, so for this one, we need this countersunk washer, 5mm spacer, and this is undoubtedly a battery stop. Okay, these are for the battery. See, this is going to mount to our center line, and our battery is going to be right along the side there, and this is a stop to prevent the battery from hitting the drive belts. Now, I'm not going to fully tighten this screw down until the servo is in place. That should be fairly obvious as to why. But in case it's not, I will explain. I don't want this to be rotated to one side or the other. I want it to be facing flat side perfectly forward. So that will happen once the servo is screwed in place. And so let's see. Three by sixes. One advantage of this servo is that it's an all aluminum case, so these tabs are aluminum, and you don't have to worry about the screws sinking into plastic and then loosening over time. And then now I can tighten this one fully. Okay. Then I need 3 M3/6s. There are a couple of guide pins that help position this, like so. Perfect. Now, to make this a little easier to do, I'm going to leave the Loctite off of one of these screws until I get the other two in place. So this one is just being put in to anchor the servo mount in place. So then I've got one screw behind, one screw in front. Once I get those two in with Loctite, I'll pull out the center one and put Loctite on it and put it back. That sounds like my wife coming in the door.
Hello.
Hey baby, I'm filming. Give me a minute, I'll take a break. My wife talking to the dogs. They are sweet little dogs, hard to resist. Wow, that is way far of an angle. I think I'm going to move down to the next hole down, because I don't think that's a lot of, I mean, I always thought that was a lot of throw to begin with. So it's going to be a little hard to do, but see, also it's going to be at an angle, and I don't want that either, so I think I'm going to add 1 or 2 millimeters of spacer. Okay, allow me to explain. The more this linkage here is at an angle this way, or up and down, the more you're going to have a variance between steering left and steering right. And ideally you want them to be exactly the same. Now, right off the bat, with the current setup, we do not have a straight line going this way. So to make that a straight line, I'm going to need probably a 2 millimeter spacer. I'm going to try 1.5. So. I'm not going to be able to get a nut on the back, so I may see if I can order a ball stud in a longer size, but I think that my guess on the 1.5 was pretty spot on here. Yeah, look at that. That's almost, I don't see how I could get much more perfect than that. I mean, 0.5 millimeter maybe, but it's so close. Now then there's this issue of the downward angle here. I could add a little spacer there. I'm going to wait until I get to where they discuss that in more detail and see what their recommendations are for dealing with that, if any. Okay, now we have an aluminum fan mount. I'm not sure what those are. I've seen some cars where the rear body post points straight back, and I'm not sure what the advantage or disadvantage is there. Okay, I'm going to take a break and go hug my wife. Okay, so now we need to put in a second battery stop, and that will go right here into this screw on the other motor mount. So we'll have the 2 of those. These 2 pieces here and these 2 pieces are our battery hold downs. We'll get into those shortly. Okay, time to pull out some electronics. Let's get out our motor and our fan, and we might as well pull out the ESC and receiver. I was hoping that my new receivers were going to come in. This is for my existing FlySky FSGT5, and this is a great radio, and for the money it's outstanding. But I've got a couple of receivers coming for my new Noble NB4, and this, if that's a nice radio, this is badass. And I bought this for my Mini Zs, and it came with 2 micro receivers for specifically for the Mini Zs. But I also ordered 2 more surface receivers that are, you know, a standard type in a, you know, in a plastic enclosure instead of just a little piece of circuit board. If those come in, or whenever they do come in, I will probably put one in here and start driving this car with the Noble. The options are about the same as far as adjustability and stuff. It's just seems like a nicer radio. It's got a lot more heft to it. There's a lot more adjustability, spring tension and whatnot. I believe this has adjustable spring tension, maybe not, but it is still a very good radio, and it's got all the high-end adjustments that you would normally want. So this is one of those really nice fans that has 28,000 RPM, not 2,800, 28,000, and they really push some air. So there is a mount for that, at least they're supposed to be. And I swear to God I don't see it. Oh, it's an optional aluminum fan mount. Oh, I get it. Okay, well, I guess I'll just have to go into my optional parts. And I'm going to pull out one of these. Now, that other piece is basically a 90-degree bracket. Might be able to use one of these servo mounts. But I don't know if that's going to fit or not. I'll take a look. Let's check out our motor. And this is a standard USGT legal race motor. You have to use their spec if you want to race in USGT. That helps level the playing field. So I like the fact that it's a very open motor. That gives us a lot of ventilation, a lot of places to have a fan blow air in and help directly cool the motor. That's what we got here. So that's nice. This motor was commissioned for production by the USGT organization. Checklist, average timing at 5,000 RPM is 30 to 33 degrees. Sensor gap, 0 to 3 degrees. Rotor alignment, tolerances of 0 to 5 degrees. Got a batch number and a production date. Okay. Probably something I should hang on to. I mean, I'm racing local. I'm not going to like national events or anything with these cars, so don't think it's really an issue, but you never know. So, motor is going to mount over on this side, more or less there. So, yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to use my own fan mount so I can, like, direct the fan right down like this and actually have it over top of that front of the motor, so it really is blowing down in here. Otherwise, half the airflow is just bouncing off the can. If I mount it here, it really doesn't. See, the mount that they have would put the fan basically here, and that washes air across the fan, but it doesn't get as much air into the fan. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to space her around. Okay, interesting tip. You see how they have two 1mm spacers here? Some motors do not have a chamfer on the motor housing. In other words, this bevel here, this angle, is called a chamfer. If you do not have that, you're going to need a couple of spacers to make the motor fit properly. But I do not have that issue, so don't need to worry about that. But those are going to be tough to get in place, I'll tell you that. If you do have to use those. Oh, forgot to put Loctite on that one. I have to pull it back out in a second. That's not good. Okay, that strap is not going to work because the motor is so close to the carbon fiber chassis. Let me just show you. See that? If I move, to have this in place, that means I'm jacking the motor up away from the chassis, and that is tweaking the chassis in a big way. And we cannot have that. No way, no how. So this mount will not work. I might be able to use this little bracket here. But the hole it's supposed to mount to is not threaded. So I would need a long pass through. I think I can make that work. Okay, so I have set up a fan mount that I'm reasonably happy with. It's not perfect, but it's gonna do. And as you can see, it's just like a millimeter or so off of the carbon fiber here, so it's not touching it. And it's maybe 2 millimeters off the can. And I used a Dremel to basically trim off one corner, still leaving, you know, enough material to have a round fan housing. And that let me angle the fan and get it so a decent amount of airflow is going to get into the side of the can here. Some of it's going to spill into the side over here that's open, and the rest of it's just going to wash around the can and, you know, keep things reasonably cool. Normally I like to power these fans off of the battery itself, not off of the ESC. So as soon as you plug in the battery, the fan kicks in. It has its pluses and minuses. The plus is that it's always reminding you urgently to unplug your battery when you're not running the car. On the downside, it's burning juice right away, but it's not enough to, you know, make it a worrisome draw. So I think I'll just continue with that methodology. It seems to have worked well in the past, but what I need to do is pass the wiring through here without it catching on something. And what I will probably do is what I've done in circumstances where the wire is close to gearing, and that is that I take these two strands, I slide them through a piece of heat shrink, and then what I'll probably do is zip tie them to like this bulkhead right here, or take them over top of the servo. If I can get a hold of them. And run them over the servo like that, and then under here, and have my leads of my battery at this end. I probably want them over here because the ESC is going to be here. So not 100% sure how I'm going to do that and make it work well. I may run them over the top like this. Just let them plug in, because there is a lot of empty airspace here with the body shell on it. And if I put them in some heat shrink, they'll stay together and they won't be prone to getting damaged by anything. They'll stay off of the belt, and that should probably do just fine. In fact, I think I've just come up with my solution. The receiver is going to go right here, so I am definitely going to shorten up this servo lead substantially, like I did on the Formula One car. I'm going to cut off a big chunk of that wire, probably about that much, maybe even a little more. All I need is a couple inches to be able to plug into the receiver over here. So, you know, I don't want to make it so it's too tight, but like that should be just fine. Let's see. So let's go ahead and do battery mounts. Let's see, pinions. Haven't really talked about pinions for this car. I guess what I should do is see what the asphalt sheet says. if it says. And that's only going to be so much help because this was probably set up for a touring car versus a GT car.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel. If you click the bell icon, you'll receive notifications every time I launch a new video. Thank you for watching.